I think NASA said some really interesting points that I will touch upon. And I really like the use of the words. He said the contractors need to be fit, agile, and resilient. And for me, HKA's CRUX research really helps in terms of identifying issues that both employers and contractors are facing on construction projects, and how those issues really need to be addressed to ensure that you can be fit, agile, and resilient. So what is CRUX? As you mentioned, Richard, CRUX is a piece of research that HKA carries out annually. And globally, in our 2020 research, we looked at over 1,100 projects across 88 countries to identify what are the main causes of claims and disputes on construction projects. And then the research allows us to identify what these key issues are, and allows contractors and employers to look at these issues and understand and develop process and procedures to overcome them. So if I look at Saudi Arabia in particular, and we're able to drill down in our research to look at country-specific issues, sector-specific issues, and contract type-specific issues. So if I focus and drill down on Saudi projects, so we studied 78 projects in Saudi, estimated average capex of $1.84 billion. So these are really the big projects being undertaken in the kingdom. And what was our key finding? Our key finding was that on these projects, the average extension of time claimed was 86% of the original contract duration. So essentially what we're saying is on these mega projects, it's taking more or less double the time that the contractor is claiming as an EOT. That in itself is a key issue that we can talk about at length. And the average cost.
Sorry, Haroon, can I just clarify on that? So what you are saying from the projects that you researched in Saudi Arabia, 78 projects with a huge capex value, your findings are that projects are taking double, nearly double, 86% overrun, they're taking almost double the length of time to deliver that was originally planned. Is that what
Correct.
You're saying?
That's absolutely what I'm saying, Richard.
Okay, well, that's a huge talking point. So please send in your questions if you have. I certainly have a few, but carry on with your slides and we can come back to that. Sure.
I'm just going to whiz on to the next slide because so our key findings here are what are the top causes of claims and disputes in the kingdom? Number one is change in scope. So whether it's variations, employer side or contractor initiated design changes, etc., change in scopes are a big cause of claims and disputes in the kingdom. Secondly, the late issuance of design information. So NASA spoke about the changes in the way projects are being procured, contractors having to take on design and build or EPC contracts. So design information is going to be key as we move forward over the next few months and years. Access to site, restricted work areas remains a key issue. And finally, the other two issues, late approvals and contract interpretation. Now, this in itself is a very important issue because if we see in Saudi Arabia, and NASA touched upon the changes that we're experiencing now in contract form. Historically, government contracts, we had the public works contract that was used time and time again for the larger construction projects. We're now moving away to a more sophisticated model of contracting. We're seeing the FIDIC used, we're seeing an amended form of FIDIC. Other more established developers have their own standard form of contract. So contract interpretation is a big issue and a cause for claims and disputes in the kingdom. And it's important that both employers and contractors really, from our perspective, is use the CRUX research to their advantage. It's there to help decision making. It's there to help everyone make better choices on projects. I can whiz on, Richard. I've got some more slides.
Well, perhaps, yeah, I mean, I think that you've given us a huge amount of food for thought and conversation. If I can ask you a couple of quick comeback questions, and then I would be interested to hear Nasser's comments as well. But on the first point there, change of scope, I presume that this slide is sort of ranked so that number one issue is change of scope, and that's something I hear about a lot across the region. You know, the project the client changes his mind, and actually sometimes they'll change the scope verbally rather than in writing, and the designs haven't been completed before the construction has started, and all that sort of thing. Is this something that is particularly challenging in Saudi Arabia, or is this kind of a regional issue, or global even?
It's definitely a regional issue, and what one is able to do on our CRUX on our website by following the CRUX link is by doing you can do a comparison, for example, across the GCC. So across the GCC, it's interesting to do the comparisons, and you see in different countries where these issues rank in a different order. Definitely a regional issue, but more so in the kingdom. My experience, for example, if we talk about design, preparation of design, lead into a project, we've already seen that projects are 86% delayed. So you want to get on site early. Are contractors getting on site with incomplete design? Is that therefore a cause for delay? Is change in scope because of an incomplete design a big issue for the projects? The research tells us it is.
And then at the other end of the spectrum, or it's not the end of the spectrum, but point number 4 on your slide, late approvals. So the first 3 points, or at least the first 2, maybe the first 3 points are about that, the designs not being complete or changes. But the approvals, is that about sign off of work? That's about getting payments. Is that correct? So that's a slightly different thing.
Sure. I mean, it touches on a number of issues. It touches on approvals for engineering issues, design issues, variations, and also it will touch on late certification, etc., which all culminate into causes of claims and disputes. But you have a multi-layered approval approach. You need the consultant's approval on site. You then need an employer's approval, other approvals. So the multi-layered approach is a cause of delay.
Well, I've got one more question. Actually, I've just seen a question that has come in from an audience member. And if you are watching this and want to send in some questions to any of our panelists, please use the stage tab. It's on the top right-hand corner of the screen, and you can send in a question. But there's a question here that has come in, Haroon. It says, all of the delaying factors that you have exposed by Haroon appear to be employer caused. There is no mention of manpower issues, lack of performance, productivity issues, and very common causes of failure on the contractor's side. Would you say that is, is that a fair point that this questioner has said that these problems are all coming from the employer side? And is that where the major issue sits with the client?
I mean, I think what the question raises some great points. It's a very good question, but it's not necessarily only an employer issue. Change in scope can initiate from contractors as well. We see value engineering being a big part of contractors moving forward. Contractors who have taken on risk in terms of design and build, for example, not understanding their own scope. So change in scope can very much be a contractor issue as well as an employer issue. Contract interpretation can very much be a contractor issue, an engineer issue, a consultant issue on site, or an employer's issue. So it's not necessarily a one-side issue in terms of the employer being the main cause. But I absolutely take on board comments from the audience in terms of workforce, manpower issues that contractors do face as a potential cause for delay. If you go through the website, sorry, Richard, there are a number of other issues. These are just the top 5 ranked in our research.